Audience, this is going to be funny. Okay, reporters, turn on your recording devices. See, the way it works here is whatever I say, they're going to try and create a fight between President Trump and me. Problem is, President Trump and I already know this. The fact is, ladies and gentlemen, that whether it's 2 hours from now, 2 days from now, or 2 weeks from now, Iran's not going to go away on its own. The Israelis are going to put it away by itself, if they can, with that Fordo nuclear site. They'll put it away with our assistance. At some point, I suppose. Or it's not going to go away. It's not going to go away. That's the truth. You've got a combination of radical Democrats and fifth columnists, isolationists in this country, who actually have no, and I repeat, no idea how to deal with this, except dig a hole and put your head in it and hope for the best. If you don't take military action against Iran, then Iran exists. If you don't take military action against Iran, then they will increase their ballistic missile inventory to the tens of thousands. If you don't take military action against Tehran, they're going to have intercontinental ballistic missiles. If you don't take military action against Iran, they're going to have nuclear warheads. Combine that with their public statements, and you have a death threat against the American civilization, and of course Israel. Now there's one lowlife out there who says Benjamin Netanyahu is the problem, that he's playing us. And so I guess that means he's playing Donald Trump. Donald Trump's not going to be played by anybody, and neither is Benjamin Netanyahu. It's about time these people with a low IQ and a small vocabulary try and grow up and act like adults. But they won't. They're stuck. They've got their platforms, and that's the way it is. Moreover, it is amazing to me that on an issue that is so clear between good and evil, that they're having a problem with their own morality. One of them is so busy walking a fine line that everybody's lost respect for him. Another one has effectively thrown in with the enemy, rarely ever condemning the Islamo-Nazi who runs Iran. And despite the polls that are out, whether it's CNN, whether it is the Reagan Institute, all these major polls, although one site went to an online poll and tried to use that to support their position, it just shows you they have nothing substantive, nothing, no strategy, zero. And for them, everything is Afghanistan and Iraq. They're ignoramuses. Everything is not Afghanistan and Iraq. Everything is not nation building. This is called self-defense. Peace. Self-defense. Iran struck Israel through its proxies. Iran has killed hundreds of Americans and maimed thousands. They have blood, American blood, on their hands. Apparently this doesn't move the fifth column isolationists. Apparently the Democrats are okay with this. In fact, they use their deaths to say, what do we want, more deaths? As the very perpetrator of those deaths has been building nuclear weapons. And they denied they were building nuclear weapons. And now Radcliffe, the head of the CIA, says they're on the 1 yard line. It takes almost nothing for them to get a touchdown. So we're supposed to disbelieve Radcliffe, disbelieve the IAEA, disbelieve the Austrians, disbelieve everybody but believe them. These are dangerous know-nothings. Whether it's 2 weeks, next week, Saturday, Sunday, next Wednesday, this problem doesn't go away. So we'll negotiate another 2 weeks. With whom, I don't know. The supreme Islamo-Nazi, according to the press, we have all these quotes, has told us to screw off. He's not interested. So I guess somebody else is going to negotiate. I don't know who. I don't know who they represent. Could be interesting. I don't know what kind of deal can be made. Unconditional surrender. What's to negotiate? It's a 3-word surrender, Mr. Producer. We surrender unconditionally. Do you have to do a whole set of negotiations for that? Does that take 2 weeks? Does that take 2 minutes? I'm only basing my comments on what I'm reading in the newspaper and online and what people are saying who are supposed to be in the know. Meanwhile, during this 2-week period, ballistic missiles will continue to rain down on the Israeli people. Yesterday, last evening actually, they aimed one of those missiles at a hospital. They said, oh, sorry, we were aiming it at an intelligence facility. No, they weren't. They aimed it at a hospital. And they hit it. A direct hit. This is a hospital, one of the biggest in southern Israel, that serves Muslims, Christians, Jews, Bedouins and Arabs, Druze, anybody who comes through the door. Anybody. And they hit it. By the grace of God, the part of the hospital that was hit, by the grace of God, the part of the hospital that was hit, there was nobody there because they had moved the people out because they were doing work. That's God's will. What about the fact that Israel and the United States, this is known, I'm not breaking any rules, are running out of interceptor missiles? How much longer can that go on? How much longer can even a 90% or an 80% accuracy rate with a 10 to 20% inaccuracy rate go on? I noticed that the Democrats and the fifth column isolationists rarely ever talk about the suffering of the Israeli people. Nor do they condemn the supreme Islamist Nazi as much as they condemn Benjamin Netanyahu. It's shocking what's going on. Shocking. And the level of Jew hatred and anti-Semitism promoted by websites that continue to give voice to these individuals who represent a tiny percentage of the people, whether it's Mediaite, the Drudge Report, or some of the others, is grotesque. The people who go on comment on that Mediaite platform, and they own the platform, sound like Klansmen and neo-Nazis. Just a disgrace what Dan Abrams has created over there. A disgrace. And then when they write articles, they dip into the comments section and they try to pick comments that they feel will create the story that they're manufacturing. And you wonder why people hate the press. The fact is that you and I stand with 84% of the Republicans. You and I stand with 80% of the American people. Real surveys, real polls, not YouGov, that's used by one of these websites to defend the indefensible. Tell me where to go to find, and I'll put a link up. Tell me where to go to find the isolationist fifth column Democrat Party resolution to the Iran problem. You can't find it. And not only that, they don't think it's a problem. That's why the American people reject them. Whether it's MAGA, the Tea Party, the Reagan Revolution, all of us The American people reject this. So 2 weeks. Maybe we'll have the greatest deal in the history of humankind. But when 2 weeks are up, if we don't, will the fifth column isolationists, will the Chatsworth Catarlsons and his ilk, will they still oppose taking action? And what makes the next 2 weeks so magical? What about the last 3 months? The fact is, the Iranian regime is on its back. It's hanging by its fingernails. It's about to be eliminated. And so successful have the Israelis been, and let's not play games. The United States has provided some defensive support. But those are Israelis going into Iran, attacking these locations. That was Israeli intelligence, taking out the highest levels of their military, taking out the top senior nuclear scientists. They're the ones who are prepared to take out Khomeini. They're the ones going after the nuclear sites. They have no compunction about it all, because they know that this is a battle between 7th century primitive barbarians, that regime, and the free world and modernity, and whether we survive or they survive. They understand the mindset of the Islamists, and Zuhdi Jasser will be back next hour to explain it yet again. So 2 weeks, okay, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And then can we assume the rubber hits the road? Or will the same reprobates, fifth column isolationists, gearing up for a fight, lobbying and pressuring and all the rest, will they be back at it? Yes, they will. Because these people are ideologues. They're numbskulls. They're dangerous. That's what they are. And worse, in some cases. It's Netanyahu's fault. Gee, we haven't heard that before. It's the Israelis. It's their fault. Oh, okay. It's the American warmongers and neocons. It's never the terrorists. Have you noticed? It's never the Iranian regime. Just like Putin. It's never Putin. It's Zelensky. Not Putin. Zelensky. The communist Chinese are watching this. The Russians are watching this. The North Koreans are watching this. They're watching it. And so far, they're seeing the Israelis kicking the ass of the Iranian military. It's defeated the Iranian military. It defeated it in 48 hours. That's what it did. It defeated it. Now it's an issue of taking out all these nuclear sites. And they're asking, I assume, I don't know firsthand, help on this Fordo or whatever it's called site. They'll do whatever they can on their own. They don't have the bunker buster and the bomber in order to deliver it. Honestly, ladies and gentlemen, is that not the least we can do? Is that not the least we can do? They've been carrying the load here. They've carried the load with Hamas and Hezbollah. They're carrying the load with Iran. Of course we're providing them with weapons, although they were denied in the last administration. Why wouldn't we? But it's their flesh and blood on the line. Well, it's not our problem. How stupid. Over and over again, intercontinental ballistic missiles with nuclear warheads. Do these people really? You know who they sound like? They sound like the primitive barbarians that run Iran. They're slow learners. Worst of all, they're ideologues.